So I'm going to open this up with an update from Delaney Hall today, a statement released by Governor Sherrill in New Jersey. If you haven't been following, I've been spending a lot of time covering this topic. Spent a lot of time present on location. It's a concentration camp in Newark, New Jersey, in which all sorts of people are being held, undocumented, documented, and even American citizens at times. Governor Sherrill, Attorney General Davenport, and Health Commissioner Washington issued a statement after health inspections are prevented once again at Delaney Hall. This is a statement from Governor Sherrill today, Wednesday, June 24th. Today, my health inspectors were once again denied full access to Delaney Hall, including the medical unit. This is unacceptable and continues to raise serious questions about what the Department of Homeland Security and GEO Group are hiding at Delaney Hall. Said Governor Sherrill, I have long opposed private detention facilities and will continue doing everything I can to secure a full inspection and improve conditions for detainees and families. Over the last few months, we've heard numerous, this is Attorney General Davenport. Over the last few months, we've heard numerous troubling reports of unsanitary conditions, abuse, rotten food, and substandard medical care, and even a reported case of tuberculosis at Delaney Hall. GEO Group's refusal to allow health inspectors to conduct a full inspection of the facility raises a simple question: what are they trying to hide? The people detained inside Delaney Hall must be treated with dignity. We will continue to do everything in our power to ensure that our health inspectors can conduct a complete inspection of Delaney Hall. From Health Commissioner Washington, as I said previously, health inspections are not political. If GEO Group has nothing to hide, they should allow full access to our team to conduct a complete health and safety inspection and not merely a tour of the facility. I continue to be worried about the spread of disease and other health risks inside and outside Delaney Hall. Unsanitary conditions impact detainees and facility staff alike, and diseases are not confined by the walls, locks, or doors. Any facility, they can spread to staff and visitors who may then carry those infections into the broader community, to the people outside, and then into their communities. I am grateful to the governor and the attorney general for taking this seriously. On Wednesday, health inspectors arrived at Delaney Hall for an inspection that was scheduled ahead of time. They called, did it the normal procedure. And GEO Group said, if you want an inspection, you can't show up randomly, give us advance notice. They did that. However, once they got inside, they were not allowed to conduct an actual health inspection. And then they were instead taken on the limited tour of the facility that they took members of Congress on. I'm going to follow this up by saying this, okay? Under the statute that currently exists, GEO Group can, as a private facility, remember this is a private for-profit prison with a government contract, not a government facility, cannot deny the health commissioner a chance for inspection. It's against the law. The health commissioner has the ability to review this facility, to document what they see, and make a determination on whether or not it either needs to be fixed in some way, closed down, or so on. Governor Sherrill has no excuse why she doesn't show up there with 100 SWAT members. Let me tell you something. If you guys were running a daycare, elder care facility, whatever the case was, they would kick your fucking door down so fast if there was an accusation of human rights violations. So fast. John screaming in the chat, we're just going to mute you really quick. So this is what I'm talking about, folks. Politicians pretending that they give a fuck when they really don't. Do you know why they're not doing that? I'm sure you all can deduce why the governor won't do the very obvious thing, which is, encourage that they apply for a warrant. Does anyone know why? Because she, like other politicians, Tim Walz included, are scared of Donald Trump. They are scared Donald Trump will send a tactical unit down to New Jersey, which he's already threatened to do. Tom Homan has threatened to do it, and brutalize the state like they did in Minnesota. Scared of being retaliated against. We need someone to step up to the fucking plate here. And if these politicians are not going to do it, then they need to step down and get out of the fucking way. Enough is enough. I'm so fucking tired of it. I can't even tell you. If you're not going to do your goddamn job, then fucking retire and get out of the fucking way so someone else can do it for you. Because every day that passes, people are dying. Every day that passes, people are getting sicker. There's people actively sick in there. There's people being transferred. You know, my friends put cameras up to the windows of these transfer vans, and we look inside. These people look sick. Some of them aren't conscious. I don't know how people sleep at night. I don't have it in me to look the other way. I don't have it in me. So I'm going to take my fucking fat ass back down there again this fucking weekend. And I'm going to do the same shit over again. The last thing I want to be doing is spending my fucking weekends in the sweltering fucking heat. And it smells like shit. But this story is disgusting, and it's happening all over the country. Wimbrel says, why isn't this story covered anywhere else? Wimbrel, this story's been covered across the nation. I myself have been in multiple mainstream media outlets. New York Times, MSNBC, Lawrence O'Donnell's thing, New Jersey Insider. If you mean why aren't they covering it more? Because the mainstream media sucks. But it has been covered. It was a viral story, largely because of independent journalists. A few of us went down there and dedicated like a week and stayed down there and got it in the mainstream media. And once they removed us back to Doremus Avenue and off the block, then it largely died down in the mainstream media. So we're trying to get it back into the mainstream media again. Congress should be saying something about this. Well, I mean, individual members of Congress have. Members of Congress have been there, but Congress should be taking action, and I agree. I always wondered how Nazi Germany was allowed to happen. I hate this. You're right, Kathy. That has been made abundantly clear to me now. That has been made abundantly clear to me now. And I don't have any answers, folks. Like, I'm running out of answers. Tina, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. Appreciate you. I will use that towards going down again this weekend. I appreciate you, Tina. Kathy, thank you. I appreciate you. It's very warped that MAGA cheers this on. MAGA is stupid. You have to understand. They don't even realize they're advocating against their own constitutional rights. I mean, it's you have to treat MAGA like it's the guy you kind of feel bad for because, you know, his brain is not fully developed. That's what MAGA is, right? They're not very bright. They're not normal humans like you or I. Caprice, thank you so much, Caprice, for the Venmo, Caprice. I really appreciate that, Caprice. That means a lot, Caprice. Thank you so much. Guys, don't twist yourself sick with MAGA. They're a joke. All right. I can tell because you can't. I don't know who you are, bro. I haven't seen a question from you. What are you talking about? Shut up. God, there's So simple. Can't you show that footage that was taken from inside the village? Show what footage? The drone footage? Because they're stupid bigots, and can you stop spamming? I'm not interested. Like, you're just spamming over and over again. Shut up. We don't care what you think. All right? Go look it up if you don't agree with me. TJ Warren, thanks so much for the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. I'm really fucking done tonight. Like, this just continues to happen, and it's not even so much that, like, we know who our enemy is, but, like, the fact that our politicians just lay the fuck down is just disgusting, man. They just lay down. They don't even have any fucking fight in them, and largely because they're scared. Star Rider, thank you for the Canadian $69.99. I'm so mad and frustrated. The situation is of nightmares. Love your compassion. I appreciate you, Star Rider. Thank you. I mean, I'm going to do what I can, my part to the max. But the truth of the matter is, the governor is really the one that's tying this down. Skeeta says, you are a joke. Trump us the best. Okay, Muppet, whatever you say. Go spin around in your room. Amy Cat, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. Appreciate you, Amy Cat. Big W Star Rider. Big W Star Rider. And Andrew says, thanks for the important content. Andrew, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. I'm glad it doesn't go unnoticed because it is a tremendous amount of work. I'm just not going to complain about the work because there's people in a lot worse positions. So, I can't stand how scared Congress is standing up this. It fucking infuriates me, dude. I mean, footage of those inside who were sick. Not sure if you missed it. Said there's people not inside the building. So when people get put in these transfer vans, well, some people will run up and film inside the transfer van once it's on public property. And what we have seen is people inside who look disoriented. Some are unconscious. I mean, again, they could be asleep, but regardless, they're unconscious. Yeah, it doesn't look good. Does not look good at all. Manny, thank you for the $69.99. Appreciate you so much. There's something to help continue doing the important work. Do hugs from Canada. Thank you so much, Manny. And I appreciate the people from Canada that support. Unfortunately, we're in big trouble over here. We're in big trouble. Send pics. You can go over to my channel and watch my content on TikTok. Some of it's on YouTube if you'd like to watch it. You most certainly can. Let's open up the phone lines here. I don't have to prove anything anymore. I've proven this. All you got to do is go to my TikTok channel, Adam Cray. I have multiple videos in the millions of views. If you guys don't believe it's true at this point, then you're just being dishonest. Go watch it. Amy, thank you so much. Says be safe. Appreciate you, Amy. I am safe as I possibly can. Thank you, Amy. I really appreciate you. And Manny, thank you. I appreciate you as well. I would really appreciate, let's see if we can get a caller here. Which of your presidents are good besides JFK? JFK is not the best president ever. FDR is probably the best president we've ever had. Trump is ruining the World Cup for us by wanting to give the winning team the trophy. Trump ruins everything he touches, so sporting event or otherwise. This is a good question here. Let me answer this really quick.
Call from.
Yeah, are you a Trump supporter?
I am, sir.
Okay, hold on a second. Somebody said, can America not be held accountable internationally at all for all these human rights violations? So, Aiden, this is a great question. Yes, they can, according to the law. But the problem is, in order to enforce international law, you need cooperation from the state. So unless Trump's administration would be willing to turn him in, we're basically, it's basically null and void. And if you don't have cooperation from the state, international law means very little without effective enforcement mechanism. What's up to the caller on the phone? How old are you?
Well, I'm 26 years old.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's up?
All right. Well, the title of the video says, Trump is a bad president, Antifa is patriotic. Okay.
Yep.
Well, just as a basic question, like, what would you consider like a patriot? Like, what is a patriot in your definition?
One who loves their country. That is the
Okay.
definition of a patriot.
All right, sir. So the values that Antifa has, right? Would you agree that it goes against what our founding fathers wanted for this country, freedom of speech? Antifa is I would consider them a far left group. The far left, they don't believe in open debate. They believe in shutting people down, cancel culture. Basically, you cannot participate in society. If you write a book, we're going to cancel your event. We're going to try to shut down your social media. So that is anti-patriotic in the sense that they don't believe in the values that this country was founded on. Instead, they're actually trying to warp America into their own twisted socialist, communist experiment that never worked anywhere else, but for some reason they want to try it here. So what would be your rebuttal to that?
That you don't know what Antifa is?
Anti-fascist?
Right. What is
Okay.
wrong with being anti-fascist? So I would argue that the soldiers that stormed the beaches of Normandy were Antifa. You said founding fathers. Antifa would believe in freedom of speech, democracy. Those are core tenets of what it means to be anti-fascist. A believer in freedom of speech, a believer in individual liberty, a believer in democracy. Right? Like, I don't know where you got the idea that anti-fascists are anti-freedom of speech. Again, the confusion starts at understanding the core tenets of fascism, because it's all the opposite of the core tenets of fascism. 210 Rain, thank you so much for the 1999 super chat. Appreciate you, dude. And Dustin, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Appreciate you. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the distinction. The men that stormed Normandy Beach, right? They were fighting real fascists. Antifa is not fighting actual fascists.
Yes,
They're
they
actually
are.
just who are you referring to?
Trump. This administration is fascist. So, for
This
instance,
administration?
one of the
Okay.
things I've been discussing so far in this conversation is Delaney Hall. Delaney Hall is a concentration camp. What is your definition of a concentration camp?
A concentration camp is somewhere where the state sends political prisoners, people that they were considered traitors, and genuinely anybody that they
Not
don't
traitors.
like to basically just be labored to death.
Yeah, labor to death. That's what's happening at Delaney Hall. So forced labor, political prisoners, people arrested because the country largely rejects them, right? Inhumane treatment is the core tenet. At Delaney Hall, they have maggots in their food. They're being beaten, tortured, toilet paper restricted, okay? There's not receiving medical care. There's even been a case of tuberculosis at Delaney Hall. Women
Well,
are
the
being
people at
sexually
Delaney Hall are not
assaulted.
U.S. citizens.
Okay, so first of all, that's not true. Number one, let's break this down. There is a population of people at Delaney Hall that consists of a number of different people. One are undocumented people. Some are American citizens who have been detained by ICE, and some are documented people who have been detained by ICE and not released yet. I'll give you examples. People get released from Delaney Hall that were picked up in other states. ICE picked them up, realized they weren't undocumented, held them for months, transferred them to another state, and then released them. In Minnesota, they were releasing them in the dead of winter.
Okay. Do we
That's
have
human
photos
trafficking by
All right.
definition.
Got you. So do you have any video or photo evidence of any of this?
Yes.
Because I just looked it up right now, and I can't. There's basically telling me that there's no.
You can't find
photos.
evidence of what specifically? Are you asking
There's
for the
no,
human
like,
rights violations?
The
No, I wouldn't.
maggots, the medical lack of
No,
medical
so
care.
who do
even
you propose would be taking the videos of this? What we have are, for instance, over a dozen women, some of which don't even know each other, who have all claimed the same guard is sexually assaulting them. What we have are dead bodies, people who have been removed, deceased from the facility. I personally have documented people get pulled out of Delaney Hall on stretchers right? In
Right.
in disgusting condition. These are things you can go watch on my page. ICE personally stands outside the facility, in which it's not a government facility. It's a private facility with a government contract, by the way. And ICE stands outside that facility and beats the shit out of American citizens who protest the human rights violations. I have Geo Group, the company that runs this prison, on camera sexually harassing women outside the facility. We can very obviously conclude what's happening there based on the amount of people that have died, right? We can conclude this based on the amount of accounts we have of people saying, hey, I was sexually assaulted by this specific guard. They all name the same guard. The refusals to allow the Department of Health to enter the facility. Today, Governor Sherrill stated, my health inspectors, this is today, and this is after numerous attempts, my health inspectors were once again denied full access to Delaney Hall, including in the medical unit. So this private for-profit prison with a government contract is denying the government access to their facility. Can you tell me, give me one logical, reasonable explanation why they would deny the governor, the state attorney general, or the health commissioner from accessing the facility if they're not committing human rights violations?
I mean, the cameras don't be lit. I don't know if you've ever been through the justice system, sir. Like, I've actually been in through the justice system, right? I actually did some time. I'm not going to get into all of that.
I'm not shocked you're a felon.
And this is my
Cameras
point.
are in there.
And this is my, hold on, sir. I'm answering your question directly.
Inspection.
I'm answering your question directly.
No, you're not going to answer my question with misinformation.
It's not disinformation. You just don't want to hear the truth. Hear me out.
You don't know what you're talking about.
No, listen, because you've never done any time. When I was inside, right?
I've only been to this facility personally. I
no, but you haven't.
Talked to family members and people detained. I've personally spoken with people who've been detained inside this facility. You don't know what you're talking about. Under state statute, they are subject to inspection.
They're immigrants, asylum seekers, and foreign nationals.
I don't care if they're undocumented. That doesn't matter. Do you know what human rights violations are? Wait, are you actually disputing because they're undocumented they can be subject to human rights violations? These prisons are subject to inspection under state statute, and they're refusing to allow the health commissioner to do an inspection. They're refusing the governor access to the facility because they're committing human rights violations. They're refusing medical care. There are women in there that have had miscarriages without medical care. And
guess what? Why are you illegally entering a country when you have a baby? That's irresponsible on the mother's part. Come on now.
They didn't enter the country with a baby. You goof.
Okay, so you're going to come into a country illegally, and
some of them have been confined for quite some time. I find it pretty odd how so many of them are becoming pregnant inside these facilities, but you can probably put two and two together.
Well, here's the thing. If that's true, if all that is true, the courts are open to these people, right?
Really?
So they could go and
courts?
Yeah. I mean, well, you just proved my point.
They did sue. That the 2nd of January, the 2nd of June, they just filed a lawsuit. Takes time.
Okay.
Court system takes time.
So, boom. If the Trump administration is so fascist, as you say, how come these cases are even being heard at all?
So first, let's establish, what is fascism?
Fascism is, do you want the short answer or the long answer?
You don't know either, so just give me your answer.
I don't? Okay, sure. Got you, right? Because, I know nothing clearly, right?
You don't.
Fascism, right? If America was truly a fascist, like even if
what is fascism?
Fascism is state repression.
No.
It's clear and simple. I could give you a long definition, bro.
He doesn't know what
I definitely do.
All right, give me four core tenets of fascism.
State-run media, repression of personal freedoms.
The word is suppression, but go ahead.
Yeah, I just said, okay. Suppression of personal freedoms, right? State-run media, and arbitrary detention without due legal process. These are all aspects of fascism. I'm sorry that you've never read a book in your life. Come on, man.
Okay, I've never read a book in my life. Tell me what book you've read on fascism. Tell me give me one.
The Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Stoganitsky.
Tell me specifically, right? What scale do you use to measure whether someone is fascist? There's about 3 or 4 of them that are universally accepted by most scholars. Which one do you use?
I mean, we don't go by the individual. Like fascism.
Can you tell me who Lawrence Britt is?
These are
do you know
things
who
at a
Lawrence
state
Britt
level.
is?
No, but of course you're going to educate me on them, right?
You don't know who Lawrence Britt is. So here's the thing, folks, right? These guys don't know what fascism is, right? And if we go through the core tenets of fascism, Donald Trump meets all 14. But as it pertains to Delaney Hall, and you have no idea what you're talking about as usual, you just
told me we had many U.S. citizens in there, and I literally just looked it up and it said... Over 95 are literally immigrants, asylum seekers, and foreign nationals. Come on, run it back.
They arrest them. They've arrested American citizens right in front of me, you dumb fuck.
And they get transferred.
All right, listen, I'm not going to talk to a moron. You're just going to keep screaming. If you're not willing to accept the truth, I'll just hang up on you. Right? It's that simple. They get transferred. No, they don't, dummy. Okay? They get held, depending on whether they're charged, for a specific length of time, whether it's 24 hours or 2 hours or a week. We have people in there who have been released. Why would they be released if they're undocumented? Because they're not undocumented. They release people who are documented citizens. People get released who were never supposed to be arrested to start with. If you arrest someone who's never supposed to be arrested and you transfer them to an out-of-state facility, you've just participated in human trafficking. You don't know what you're talking about. None of you do because you're not there. I have been there multiple times. I know what I'm talking about. You don't. If you're not willing to accept the information, then don't call in. It's that simple. If you want information, if you want to learn and grow and stop being such a moron, then call in and ask questions and go, hey, Adam, tell me, have you seen people be arrested that are American citizens? Yes. And by the way, folks, I show this every time I come on here. I don't feel the need to do this again. ICE has been brutalizing the people outside of the facility. Geo Group has been running over people outside of the facility. Running over people. A friend of mine was just run over 2 days ago. Run over. It was a few days ago. It was on Father's Day. She was run over. ICE has cracked people's heads open, thrown people into oncoming traffic, broken people's legs, arms, shattered someone's collarbone with a nightstick. Now, if they're doing that to American citizens outside the facility, do you think the people inside are being treated appropriately? I mean, honestly. Embarrassing that you could be this stupid. Yes, are you a Trump supporter?
I am.
Okay, what's up?
You said your post says Antifa is patriotic.
Yeah.
No, it is not.
Why not?
Well, they attack Trump supporters.
Are Trump supporters patriotic?
And they're more patriotic than Antifa.
Really? Because I would argue that Trump supporters are fascist, and that's in their name, anti-fascist. So, yeah, I'm sure they do attack.
Oh, yeah?
But what Trump supporter was attacked by Antifa? Can you explain?
Well, there were a bunch of protesters. I was one of them. I was at the Trump, one of the Trump rallies, and a bunch of Antifa lunatics showed up and attacked us. We had to literally run away and scatter.
So you got beat up by a bunch of liberals?
No, I didn't get beat up. I didn't get beat up.
You just admit you ran away from a bunch of leftists when you guys are always talking about
they were carrying.
You are.
They were carrying bats and sticks and throwing rocks. It was crazy.
I highly doubt this ever happened, but it's funny that you guys ran away. That's hilarious.
Yeah, we don't want to get murdered by a bunch of Antifa lunatics. That's why.
Well, I mean, you guys talk like you're big and bad. I mean, that's running away from Antifa is pretty funny, but I doubt that ever.
Yeah, and then they turn a whole place in I think it's Oregon into Chaz. Remember that?
Hey, how did you? So let me tell you. Let's investigate this story a little bit. So you're at a Trump rally. You're holding up your sign. Go Trump. What did it say? Trump.
Yeah, we were waving flags. We had hats.
Waving flags. What are you dressed like? So I know.
What do you mean? I'm dressed like a normal person.
So what do you have? A Trump shirt on? Cowboy boots? What do we dress like?
No, I just had the hat. I just had a Trump hat, and I had a flag.
So you had some Trump drip on. You had some Trump drip on.
It was just a hat. It was just a hat. That's it.
But you had some Trump drip on. You were dripping.
Okay, I mean, if you want to call a hat as drip, then fine. It's Trump drip.
That's what I'm saying.
But, yeah,
you had Trump drip on. Okay, so you're at this protest, and how did you identify the people who were running after you were Antifa?
They had on masks. They had on freaking all black. They were saying that they were anti-fascist. I mean, that's what they were.
Aren't you anti-fascist?
Not like them.
Wait. Are you anti-fascist or not?
What's your definition of fascist?
Fascism is an ultranationalist, authoritarian political ideology.
I'm not an ultranationalist.
Right. So are you anti-fascist? Would you oppose people like Hitler and Mussolini?
Yeah.
Okay, and you oppose authoritarianism generally?
Yeah, generally, yeah.
So then you're an anti-fascist, right?
Yeah, but I'm not an anti-fascist like how they call them, like they're anti-fascist.
How did you determine? Did you guys stop and ask them a bunch of questions? No, you were running away. Were you asking these questions when you were running away?
No, I wasn't, but there were Trump supporters trying to talk to them. And they were yelling and screaming how they...
away.
I was running away before they got violent. We were all standing around, and they showed up, and they were talking to some people. But some of them started to get rowdy and throw things. That's when everybody started to, scatter.
Wow, that's awful. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Well, how come Antifa people never wave American flags?
Honey, before we go a step further, I'm actually sorry that happened to you.
It's all right, man.
Have you seen anyone about that?
No.
I'm hoping that you were able to talk out that trauma.
No, I'm fine. I'm just saying,
because
some of them, not all of them were violent, but
if a bunch of 120-pound liberals chased me away, I would be talking about that for the rest of my life with somebody.
Bro, these people were not. Some of them were overweight. They were fat. Most of them were skinny, but some of them were fat.
Okay, so you ran away from people who you deemed fat. Okay, so anyway. Here's the thing, man. Right. Number one, I can tell your story's bullshit. You didn't stop and ask them what their ideology was. No one identifies as a member of Antifa because Antifa is not an organization. Antifa is an ideology. It means to be anti-fascist, to oppose fascism, to promote things like democratic values, right? Freedom of speech, individual liberty. That's typically what Antifa supports.
Then why are they so violent?
Well, I mean, when they did storm the Capitol on January 6th, I did ask myself that question because I was like, why is Antifa... Oh, never mind. That was MAGA. Never mind. Sorry. Fuck, I forgot. Hold on. Let me try and think for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, well...
Even January 6th... January 6th wasn't as bad as what Antifa did.
What did Antifa do?
It's bad, but in January 6th, they weren't throwing. I'm about to tell you, they didn't destroy police cars like Antifa does. They didn't take over entire state.
They
didn't.
They beat the shit out of police officers. That's 10 times worse.
So does Antifa.
Okay, so again, are you? I'm wondering what's the here's what I'll do for you, right? I'm going to ask you the simple question I ask everybody. Can you tell me one thing that Antifa has done that MAGA hasn't done?
Turn an entire zone into a Chaz zone.
Do what now?
They didn't turn an entire city in Oregon into a Chaz zone like Antifa did. That was all Antifa.
They overthrew a government constitutionally protected process. They overthrew the Capitol building.
They didn't overthrow the Capitol building. They went in. No, they did not. They didn't overthrow.
Then why did members of Congress have to be ushered to safety?
Who?
Why did members of Congress have to be ushered to safety?
Who?
During January 6th, right? What was happening on January 6th specifically? What constitutionally protected process was occurring on January 6th that made that day relevant?
It was to protest the vote.
The what? People already voted.
No, I'm saying it was to protest the
what? The what?
The stolen election thing. It was about the stolen election. They wanted to protest
what constitutionally protected process was occurring that day that they were objecting to?
I don't know what are you talking about? Constitutionally processed? I don't know what you're talking about.
The answer is the certification, sir. They were certifying the vote. They were in opposition to the certification. They broke into the Capitol building to stop the certification, which they successfully did for over 6 hours. That process.
No, police let them in.
No, sir, they didn't. I can show it on my live
yes, they did.
No, they didn't. No, I can.
No, police were also letting. I saw the video myself too.
All right, let me bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up.
I mean, sir, listen, if I'm trying to be fair with you, I'm kind of sympathetic to the fact that Antifa chased you down. And, like, I was being nice about that, and now you're being rude.
I mean, they're a bunch of lunatics and crazy people.
And I'm trying to be nice to you about it. And I was even asking you if you were able to talk to someone about that. But now you're doubting that they broke into the building, which is just stupid, dude. I mean, it's easily proven. Right? This is very easily proven.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to pull it up on the live right now. I want you to turn the live stream on, and I will show you. Anna, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. W. Anna in the chat. Thank you for everybody supporting the live. Would appreciate it. Completing the gifting goal. If you guys want, you can support on Venmo. Let's show this guy real quick that they broke into the Capitol. Turn on the live, sir. This was the initial entry, I believe.
I'm on my phone, so
a fifth member, Dominic Pizzola, you see him here using a police shield to break a window at the Capitol, was just sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Yeah, this just happened in the past few hours. Dominic Pizzola, also a member of the Proud Boys, sentenced to 10 years. And as he was leaving the courtroom, our reporters who were in the court, they say that he raised up his
by the Columbus doors. If you want me to bring
up that I condemn. I don't agree with that.
That's how they got in the building, sir. So let's hold on. Do you want me to play more? Hold on, I'll play more for you. Let's pull up some more.
Yeah, no, play the one where police are actually letting them in the building.
No, there is no such thing, right? And I'll explain what the context is. You have the timeline fucked up.
How come Antifa never wave American flag?
Hey, he's got a gun! He's got a gun!
Look at those police letting them in.
No, this is about to get dirty, man. Now, he's got a gun. Get down.
Oh, you're showing parts where the police getting.
Oh, that sounds like a gunshot.
That was Ashley Babbitt climbing through a window. She got right there. Hiking Yoga Dog Mom, thank you for the $5.
Yeah,
Should I show you more or no? I have more too if you'd like. You want to see the initial?
Yeah, look. Notice how it ain't no fires like Antifa. Notice how it ain't no fires.
Really? Hold on. Let me just bring something up. Hold on. Here is a. Yeah, there's so many videos. There's just so many videos of them doing this. It's insane. So, can you concede they broke into the Capitol or no? Here,
yeah, I can see that's the Capitol. Yeah, I can see.
All right, let's see. You do concede. Okay, so at least you've conceded to that. They broke into the Capitol. Okay. Because listen, I mean, we can't dispute that, right, sir?
We took an oath when we went into medicine.
We can't dispute that. So they broke into the Capitol, okay? The cops didn't let them in. They went inside, and members of Congress were ushered to safety, right? Police officers were beaten. In fact, I have personally talked to some of the police officers that were in the media. You know, Harry and what's that other guy's name? I can't even remember their names now. Let me see. Harry Dunn is the guy that I spoke to.
The worst you got is January 6th. That's the worst. That's the worst you got.
You can't give me something equivalent to that.
Compared to all
Michael Fanone is the other one. They both.
If you compare that to
they were beat.
BLM and Antifa, they were far worse than January 6th.
Give me an example. You mean do you mean when BLM was burning down the police precincts?
They were burning down the police precincts. They were burning down businesses.
Guess what?
They broke into Target.
Guess what?
Multiple videos of theft.
I have bad news for you. The arson during those protests was actually admitted to in court by the Boogaloo Boys. They've been convicted since then for deliberately lighting fires, including the police precinct. That was not BLM or any group on the left. It was the Boogaloo Boys.
So the Boogaloo Boys are black? Because I've seen black people throwing Molotov cocktails.
There are black people in the Proud Boys. The former leader of the Proud Boys is Hispanic. There are absolutely black people in those groups. I don't know about the Boogaloo Boys, but in this case, they were white guys.
And then CNN would make up lies saying, "Oh no, it's mostly peaceful while crap is burning down in the background."
Here's the thing, bro. I've debunked most of what you've said so far, and it's because it's so easy to do. Antifa just simply means to be anti-fascist. This whole conversation about Antifa versus MAGA is idiotic, right? And can't be compared because MAGA is a group of people, right? Do you think MAGA specifically is an organization?
No,
or would you say it's a political movement, an ideology?
It seems like it's a political movement. It's a political movement.
So what makes you think MAGA as a political movement is different from being anti-fascist as a political ideology?
Well, isn't Antifa a terrorist organization?
According to Donald Trump, but it's not actually, right? Donald Trump also can't spell, right? He can't pronounce basic English words. Donald Trump is a moron.
You said according to Donald Trump, ain't he the president?
Your point being, Donald Trump doesn't make laws. Who makes laws?
Congress makes laws.
Okay, so your point being what? The president doesn't make laws. He signed a directive in which prosecutors use as a foundation to drum up conspiracy charges. But no, it's not the law that Antifa is a domestic terror. That is a directive that the president issued.
So if the president says, who designates things as domestic? Who designates groups as terrorists?
He did designate.
Is it the president or
it's a directive?
No, I'm saying but is it Congress or the president himself?
The president himself doesn't make laws. Period. The president signs executive orders.
So who designated Al-Qaeda as a terrorist organization?
If you had to take a guess, who do you think?
Most likely the president, right?
Does the president decide who's a terrorist organization? And Al-Qaeda, are you comparing Al-Qaeda to Antifa?
No. What I'm saying is that if the president says that a group of people who are violent we're going to designate this as a terrorist organization.
So let me ask you a question. If Biden designated MAGA as a terrorist organization, would you believe that to be true?
Then that's what it would be.
But would you believe it to be true?
I mean, if they were causing widespread violence, then yeah.
Then you would no longer call yourself Antifa?
What, MAGA?
Or MAGA?
No, I wouldn't. If they were designated as a terrorist organization.
The difference is, right, is that in the case of Al-Qaeda and the war against terrorism, Congress passed resolutions, right? In this case, Congress has not done that in regards to Antifa. Antifa is just anti-fascist. It's not even an organization. The designation can come from the executive branch, but nobody disputed that Al-Qaeda was a terrorist organization because they committed a terrorist act. There was an organized conspiracy to drive planes into the Twin Towers by Osama bin Laden and a group of individuals in Afghanistan, correct? In this case, Antifa doesn't have meetings. There is no organized conspiracy. Antifa is just an idea.
Do Antifa get any kind of NGO
Brighton
funding
Oak,
or
thank
whatever?
you for the gifted membership, Brighton Oak. If you think Antifa and Al-Qaeda are comparable, then this conversation is just...
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not. I'm just saying, like, do Antifa gets, like, you know, NGO support or do they get any kind of money or funding? Or is it just like,
how many times do I have to say this? I mean, I don't know. Am I, like, speaking into a wall? Antifa is not an organization. Who would the money go to? Tell me really quick. If Antifa is an organization, describe...
I'm just asking a question.
Excuse me. What's your name?
Andrew.
Okay, Andrew. What if Antifa is an organization? Please describe for me, what does their leadership structure look like?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
They aren't an organization. You're asking me and I'm answering and you keep repeating the same question. They're not an organization. Al-Qaeda is. We could identify that Al-Qaeda had a leader, Osama bin Laden, that Al-Qaeda had a leadership structure. He had a lieutenant, right? He had soldiers. They had a specific goal. There was funding methods identified through the Central Intelligence Agency. We can make these determinations because there was investigations done to prove these things. Donald Trump just simply designated Antifa a terrorist organization without any insight as to why. He just doesn't like them. He thinks, just like he calls Joe Biden a Marxist communist, right? This is a pretty good comparison, right? Donald Trump regularly calls Joe Biden, who's a moderate, a Marxist. Is Joe Biden a Marxist?
I don't think so. I think Joe Biden is, he's not a communist neither. He's a capitalist.
Right. So you see how that's a ridiculous statement to make?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, I don't think he's a communist at all. Joe Biden is definitely like all the politicians here are capitalists. So.
Okay, but I want you to understand that Antifa simply means to be anti-fascist. It's just an abbreviated way to say you're anti-fascist. Al-Qaeda is a terrorist organization with a structure, right? So they're totally different things. There's no membership structure for Antifa, right?
So
Like the United States has a process that they generally go through that involves passing resolutions in Congress for designating a group an actual terrorist organization. He didn't go through that process, right? Because that framework doesn't fit, right? In Al-Qaeda's case, they operate as an organized, international terrorist group. Antifa doesn't. And there's never, and by the way, there's never been any proof provided that they do. Which is, you would think by now there would be. The only thing they've ever been able to do is then use that money, right, to try and essentially create the framework for a conspiracy indictment by attaching everyone, right, without these people actually knowing each other, without these people actually being a part of the same organization. It gives prosecutors a leg up in a criminal indictment. Let me just laugh my ass off at something really quick. Brussels in chat just said, U.S. Army overlord. I just watched the dude's live talking about being the leader of Antifa. Guy, he's fucking with you. Because I'm the leader of Antifa. You dumbasses.
Was it right for Trump to label the cartels as a terrorist organization? Would they be a legitimate terrorist organization?
Well, that's a different conversation, because once again, in a cartels case, those cartels have leadership structure. Okay. Again, do they have funding methods? Yes, they sell drugs. There's ways to identify that cartels and Al-Qaeda, whoever you want to talk about, have criminal profit-making networks. Antifa's never been identified as a criminal profit-making network. The only offense Antifa has ever committed is disagreeing with Donald Trump. That's their greatest sin, right? Now, I don't believe, I wouldn't necessarily call it a terrorist organization, but they do use violence and intimidation and transnational operations, and law enforcement has difficulty disrupting these networks. That wasn't the case with Antifa, because Antifa's not a network like that, or like Al-Qaeda in its structure.
Yeah, I know some right wing like groups. They say that how Antifa gets a lot of indirect money from indirect support from like left wing groups, like sort of like dark money.
But it's never been proven, because it's not true. Antifa as an organization does. Here's what the right does. I'm going to try and explain this to you. I hope you look at this with an open mind. All right. I know you got chased down by someone with purple hair, but I think you could probably listen and learn here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Say your question again. I'm sorry. What was your question?
Oh no, it was a statement. It was saying how some right wing commentators say that Antifa, how some of them they get left wing support from certain left wing.
So I'll explain. I'm not saying there aren't political organizations out there that identify as Antifa, but the government twists that, saying, well, now that group is a part of the greater Antifa organization that is, right? So if there's a political organization that identifies as anarchist or communist and says, hey, they oppose the Trump administration, and hey, we're Antifa, they then put them under this same umbrella as if Antifa is an organization, when this organization doesn't know another organization that maybe exists in New York, right? And also identifies as Antifa, because Antifa simply means to be anti-fascist. That's the government doing that, right? To try and prosecute people for exercising their constitutional rights, to try and connect people criminally to a conspiracy, when some of these people don't even know each other.
Yeah. So let me see if I can give you an example. So let's say, for example, there's 100 and they call themselves Antifa. They say we're an Antifa organization. No, I'm not saying it. I'm just saying what would be the legit, if they say I'm Antifa, this is my group, I'm the leader of this particular Antifa organization, and we're going to go bomb a building. Then that particular group would be that particular Antifa group would be a terrorist organization.
But they're
right?
not,
or it would have to be bigger.
But that group believing in Antifa. So again, that would be like saying, if a group if a political organization, let's say they call themselves Republicans for Freedom, okay? And they we don't even have to use hypotheticals, because it happened, right? We've seen the Proud Boys. We've seen the Boogaloo Boys. The Boogaloo Boys identify as MAGA.
Yeah.
The Proud Boys identify as MAGA. I don't know if they anymore, but they did for years, identified as MAGA. If the Proud Boys committing a criminal act, would that justify categorizing MAGA as a whole as a criminal organization? Because this particular political organization, who identifies also as Make America Great Again, committed a violent act. The answer would be no.
Yeah, that's actually
right.
Well, then how do you crack down on terrorism?
Would you want to have to stop identifying as a MAGA because an organization who you are unaffiliated with, let's say you believe in a particular political ideology known as MAGA, and you believe in that movement, and because an organization unaffiliated with you or anyone you know committed a violent act, the government designated MAGA a terrorist organization because they were MAGA. Would that be justified, yes or no?
I don't think it would be justified, but I would kind of
there you go,
understand
Sparky.
Why they. But like, is the Ku Klux Klan, is that a terrorist organization?
But the Ku Klux Klan, we can identify, has a specific leadership structure. They are an organization. Antifa is an idea, as I've stated multiple fucking times. If anything, you could make more of a case that MAGA is a terrorist organization than you could Antifa, because MAGA does have a legitimate leadership structure. The president of the United States, I would argue, is the president, the leader of this particular terrorist organization, who I believe is fascist. If anything, MAGA should be criminalized and Trump should be imprisoned for being the leader.
So you think that Donald Trump is a terrorist?
I think Donald Trump is a fascist. I would be comfortable saying fascist. Yes. I think he's a human rights
I know,
violator.
but I'm saying.
Yeah, I think
MAGA.
Dudes like, I think people. No, I would not designate MAGA a domestic terrorist organization. No, I wouldn't, because that would not make sense according to how that political movement is structured. It is not. It's a political movement, right? Now, there are organizations within MAGA that I believe are terrorist organizations. The Proud Boys, the Boogaloo Boys, the Patriot Front. Those are absolutely white supremacist, criminal organizations that absolutely commit crimes, right? And they have legitimate leadership structure. Should those individual groups be prosecuted? Yes. And no one's opposing the fact that if there are groups who identify as believing in an anti-fascist ideology, commit crimes, they should be held accountable for it. No one's disputing that. The issue is that you're designating an idea, a political idea that opposes fascism as a terrorist organization. Listen, it's literally common sense, and it's going right over your guy's head, which is not surprising.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Hold on. It goes right over your guy's head, and it's not surprising to me whatsoever. Think about this question for a second. Why would a fascist designate opposition to fascism as a terrorist organization?
Well, I guess that's I guess to a lot of people, that's the irony of it all, is that they call themselves anti-fascists.
Right. It's starting to make sense, isn't it? Why would it, now let's seriously, folks, why would a fascist designate opposition to his political ideology as a domestic terrorist organization?
Yeah, but how is Trump a fascist, though?
He's a fascist in every sense of the word. Do you know anything about fascism at all?
I mean, I heard of like Giovanni Gentili's version of fascism, like the whole Mussolini. I don't know too much about it, but I know I've read some stuff about it. They say how it's the government collaborating with corporate power that creates
well, that's
fascism.
one tenet of fascism. Yeah, that's absolutely a tenet of fascism, protecting corporate power. But fascism itself is not specific to one ideology. One tenet. Do you want to talk about what fascism is really quick and go over it, and maybe you'll understand?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And your understanding of fascism is what, essentially? Well, let's just go over it. Let's go over it.
They say it's corporatism.
All right, I typically use Lawrence Britt's 14 tenets. I think they are effective in I think they are an effective scale in measuring whether or not someone is a fascist. Are you okay with using Lawrence Britt's 14 tenets?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Let's go with that. All right. Let's start with number 1, powerful and continuing nationalism. So simply put, right, we're talking about praising the country in a sense, right, but specifically using slogans and flags and everything that has to do with the country in question. Do you believe that Donald Trump is an ultra-nationalist? That's pretty obvious, right? Let's make America great again.
The word ultra-nationalist is, I'm a little.
Why?
I will call him because when I think of ultra-nationalist, I'm thinking of things like it's just America first, screw over every other. When I think of ultra-nationalist, I'm thinking of
what do you think? What do you think the difference between nationalism and ultra-nationalism is?
Like nationalism is like, what I think of, what I believe it is pride, being proud of being an American, like, freedom, democracy, stuff like that.
So that's nationalism.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's national. So first of all, I want to make the clear distinction between what is patriotism, what is nationalism, and what is ultra-nationalism. What is patriotism? Patriotism simply means you love your country. Nationalism, when you're a nationalist, it means my country comes first, which is what you're talking about, America first. Ultra-nationalism is my country comes first, and it's better than all the others, and none of the other countries matter. Okay? Ultra-nationalism is more dangerous, right? Because it slides into xenophobia, right? We're going to talk a little bit about the military, but more or less authoritarian politics. Okay? Do you think Donald Trump is more my country comes first, or my country comes first and it's better than all of the other countries, and I will do whatever I can to make it better than those countries, no matter what the expense is?
I think he believes that his country comes first and it's better than all the other countries.
So you concede to tenet number 1, Donald Trump is an ultra-nationalist. Let's move to number 2. Do you believe Donald Trump has a general disdain for human rights? Okay, this is something people tend to deny when I initially say it, but I'm going to give you examples. Okay? Does this person, Donald Trump, persuade his followers into believing that there is a need that human rights should be ignored on the basis of national security? I want you to think about that for a second, right? Donald Trump sent people out of the United States to a prison called Sakat, known for its human rights violations. Donald Trump very specifically told people in the United States that's necessary to protect national security. We see concentration camps in the United States, such as Delaney Hall Detention Center, Dilley, right? We've seen the detention at the Whipple Building in Minnesota. All of these facilities have committed human rights violations against the people.
Well, we do have to give up some of our rights for national security. I mean, for example, if the government needs to mobilize, look, if the government needs to mobilize troops quickly, like in a draft, of course, if they say, hey, you got to join the military or we're going to throw you in prison, of course you have to give up some of your rights. But we're not talking about that.
We're talking about human rights should be ignored on the basis of national security, right? Human rights should be ignored on the basis of national security, right? It was done for the security of our nation, the security of our citizens, so that people who come in aren't going to do us harm. That is the thing Donald Trump tries to sell people as to why it is okay to commit human rights violations against people in these camps. So,
but you said he sent. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's one of a million examples. There's concentration camps in the United States. For instance, I've been doing a lot of work at Delaney Hall Detention Center in Newark, New Jersey. That is, in fact, a concentration camp that houses largely undocumented immigrants, but also documented people who's been repeatedly accused of committing human rights violations, withholding.
Is that the one
that is the one that's been in the news recently, that went viral recently on social media.
That's the one that the progressives attacked, I think, right?
No, nobody attacked the facility. They attacked the protesters.
No, I mean, like, wasn't there was like 8 people charged with some junk?
It was
is that
9.
the same thing, or is that
no,
different?
that was in Texas. This is in Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
This is the one where ICE beat the shit out of the protesters outside. You might have seen it in the news.
Yeah, well, they were. Yeah, I mean, it was going both ways. They were attacking ICE, and ICE was attacking.
No,
I've seen videos on it.
You've seen the videos?
No, I'm not saying that ICE is innocent. I'm just saying.
Who do you think filmed those videos?
People.
You're talking to them. I have most of those first-person POV videos you probably saw. Would you like to take a look at them together? Let's do it. I'm going to put a video on my channel right now, a first-person perspective, and I was one of 2, I believe, indie journalists in the crowd that night filming this.
But would you agree that every time when ICE...
Quiet. Turn on your live stream. Turn on my live stream and watch what I'm about to play.
Okay.
Is my live stream on?
I'm going to it right now.
And let me know when it's
I'm on the phone, so, you know.
Oh, I know you're on the phone, obviously. What do you think? We're communicating.
Yeah, it's a little delay. It's
That's
weird.
fine. Just stop talking. All right. So here we go. Let's play this. We'll start here. And this is a mild version, but in this video, I'm going to say ICE is about to rush us. These are just people standing on the street. I'm standing in the crowd so I can get this footage. And I can see ICE communicating with each other that they're about to start attacking protesters. There's no reason to do this at this point, okay? Protesters are standing on a public sidewalk. I want you all to remember also, this prison is not a federal government facility. This is a privately run prison with a government contract. ICE has no reason to be there. Here we go. Still here at Delaney, it looks like ICE is about to rush us. Pepper spray. We're on the sidewalk, you fuckhead! You fucking piece of shit! Face up! You just fucking pepper sprayed me, you stupid fuck! You good? Let's real quick just play one more.
Yeah, it's a little
just
hard
stop
to
talking.
see what's going on.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. You can see the pepper spray on my phone. We were standing on the sidewalk. They were literally holding pepper spray in both of their fucking hands, spraying it at protesters. Totally uncalled for. Totally illegal. They should be in prison for it. I'm going to show you another one here where I film a dude getting beat on the ground. This dude is on the ground getting beat. Justify this one for me, buddy.
I didn't justify the last one.
Right now at Delaney, this is the scene. ICE agents continue to assault protesters. ICE agents continue to assault protesters. They're hitting a protester on the ground. They're hitting him on the ground. Ow! Ow! You just... Oh! Oh, you fuck! That dude was on the ground being beat with nightsticks.
Yeah, I see it.
So this is mild stuff. This is nothing. That night in specific, I saw some of the most violent shit I've ever seen in my life. These protesters are on a public sidewalk. ICE has no reason to be doing what they're doing, walking into the street and beating the fuck out of people. That's not how we do it here, right? So now imagine right? Now, I want you to justify that for me, because that's going to then prove my point, which is what we're talking about here, folks, when we say, right, a disdain for human rights, that this is necessary for national security. Can you imagine what's happening to the people inside that facility if they're doing that to the people on the outside?
I mean, if that's happening in the inside of the facility, then that would be bad.
If it's happening to American citizens, what do you think the probability is that it's happening to undocumented people when the cameras are off?
I don't know. It could be high. Could be higher.
There you go. So you willing to concede to the disdain for the recognition of human rights?
I mean, I don't know the specific context of why that's happening to him, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
I already told you. We don't even have to use the concentration camps here. He deported people to a prison known for its human rights violations in Saqqat.
Well, he can't. He doesn't have the authority to do that.
He did it. The fuck you talking about?
No, what he did was he deported them to El Salvador, and El Salvador sent them.
No, he knew they were going to Saqqat prison, and he deported them there anyway. Did you hear how I framed it? He deported people knowing they were going to be housed at a prison known for its human rights violation. That is having a disdain for human rights. And then he specifically told the American people that it's justified for national security, which is quite literally what we're talking about when we say disdain for human rights. Look, you conceded. There's no point in continuing. You conceded. How about identification of enemies as a unifying cause? This is a pretty self-explanatory tenet. A leader blames everything on someone else, right? The leader projects blame onto a specific group of people that he thinks will unify his or her followers. We talked about this before with Antifa, Marxist, communist. Undocumented immigrants have been a major one that he's used to unify his base, right? Look at all the chuds in my chat supporting the brutality being committed against people simply because they don't have the same documentation status.
Well, I don't think if you blame something on a group of people, I don't think that that's necessarily fascist, no.
What? I'm telling you, these are tenets. Why do you guys always forget the point of the conversation 10 minutes in?
I'm
giving you 14 tenets. This tenet alone, would not make you a fascist, but in conjunction with the other 11, it does. Should I give you a quote? Donald Trump, when Mexico is sending its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
What else did he say?
They're rapists.
No, after that. Finish the rest of the quote.
I don't remember what he said after that, to be honest.
And some are good people.
Oh, how nice of him. And some are good people. Again, he is identifying.
Did they not send rapists?
He's identifying enemies as a unifying cause. Are you denying his rhetoric about undocumented immigrants?
No, I know he said what you said.
So are you conceding then to tenet number 3 that he identifies enemy scapegoats as a unifying cause? Yes or no?
Enemy scapegoats.
Does he?
Okay.
I'm giving you two different words.
I think that's a ridiculous tenet, but yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Again, this is why I asked you before. Are you okay with using Lawrence Britt's scale? Yes or fucking no?
I just said it because I don't know his scale, but I just said to go with it because...
Okay, fine, good. How about supremacy of the military? Do you think that the leader puts the military on a pedestal in this case? Nothing is as important domestically, that it's mostly about the military, right? Soldiers and war are glamorized. We see this a lot from Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump specifically. It's all about winning wars and nothing else, right? Donald Trump talks about this all the time. Right, how important war is, how he speaks about war. We've seen the military parades. Chat, what do you think? Tenet number 4, supremacy of the military. Do you think that tenet is applicable in this case?
Okay, you could throw that in there.
Let's ask the chat. Chat, is tenet number 4 applicable? Supremacy of the military. I think that's one of the most obvious ones.
I like our militaries. So, I guess you could throw that in there as a fascist.
All right, I'm going to restart this goal because we didn't complete it. This guy's hurting my head, but I'm trying really hard because I feel like, dude, I can reach you. And I hope you don't disappoint.
Wait, he said no.
Guy, do you know I'm when I say that, I'm saying that because I don't think you're that stupid. It's actually a compliment. If I thought you were too dumb to get this, I would have given up on you already. I'm giving you a compliment by saying I think you can come around and recognize that Donald Trump is a fascist, at least understand that he's a fascist. Then you can consider this and research it further down the line. Do you think Donald Trump do you think rampant sexism exists in this administration? This is one people typically push back against. But is this administration mostly male-dominated? I mean, look how many women have been fired so far in this cabinet. How many men have been fired?
Not too many. It's just that men are better at running the government.
Did you say it's just that men are better at running the government?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that from?
Well, it's just what I think.
Okay, based off what?
I just think men should be in charge. It's just my intuition.
Do you think you should be in charge, like over, I don't know, someone like, let's say, Kamala Harris?
Who, me? Oh, no, absolutely no.
Why not? You're a man. She's a woman. Why not? Is she smarter than you?
Yeah, but they're better men. Yeah, that's true. But they're better men than me.
Well, I mean, look, but that's not what you said. You said men are better than women. Men are better at leading than women. Why are you not better at leading than Kamala Harris? Why are your accomplishments far below hers?
Man, I'm just a lonely box worker. That's it.
Well, then I guess men aren't superior to women.
Well, I mean, it's men, though, that keeps the...
so you're just saying you're less of a man than some of these other men?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there are guys on steroids that are more of a dude.
Really? Men on steroids are more of a dude?
They're more manlier than me.
You should look up the side effects of steroid abuse, and you'd find out very quickly, but that's fine. Let's move on to the next one. Obsessed with national security. What a leader uses fear to motivate his people, threat of war, right? Invasion. Building a wall.
That would be a tenet.
Okay, that would be a tenet that applies. How about religion and government are intertwined? Does this administration and the Republican Party repeatedly advocate for eliminating the church of the separation of church and state and creating a Christian nationalist government? Kayla, thank you so much.
I don't know. Have you ever advocated for that? I don't know.
And they have multiple times, and I'll play it for you if I need to. Kayla, thank you so much. Thank you for the knowledge and humor. You're a kick-ass dude. I'm now eating a toasted bagel with turkey and cream cheese every day thanks to you. Oh, that's a killer snack, Kayla. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate you. You guys can also support on Venmo. Is it still pinned there? It should be. All right, so do you what was your question? Do Republicans typically advocate for eliminating the separation of church and state? Yes, Donald Trump absolutely believes in a Christian nation. That's pretty obvious, no?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, he said we need to get back to God and stuff like that. So, I guess you could throw that in there, sure.
But do we have a separation of church and state? Clearly, we don't get back to God. Everyone has a right to believe in whatever they want.
Well, I don't think we have a separation of church and state, to be honest.
Really? You don't?
No. The state heavily regulates what you can practice in your religion and what you can't practice.
The fuck are you talking about? Do you know what the separation of church and state is?
Yeah, like some churches, you can have like 4, 5, 6 wives. You can't do that in America. Some religions, I mean.
You don't know what the separation of church and state is?
I know what it is. It was a letter written by John Adams to the Danbury Baptist Association. I know what you're talking about. Where they thought that they was going to be discriminated against.
Hold on. So if religious freedom, right? If you just used religion as an excuse to like unalive someone, clearly, if it interfered with the law and constitutional rights, then obviously you wouldn't be allowed to do it. The separation of church and state is what specifically, though? Bars the government from establishing or favoring a religion. okay? Establishing or favoring a religion. A government can refuse to recognize a religious practice if it has a
if it violates
reason.
the secular values.
No, protecting, equal protection, for instance, public welfare, they're allowed to obviously do that, right? It doesn't erase the church-state separation. It shows the state is not required to adopt every religious rule as law. Okay? You're confusing,
no, what I'm saying is,
you're confusing religious freedom with government endorsement of religion. The Constitution protects faith. It doesn't force the state to legalize every religious practice. You're talking about polygamy. It doesn't force the state to legalize polygamy. You're confusing religious freedom with government endorsement of religion when we're talking about the separation of church and state.
No, what I'm saying is that the
oh my God!
Like, if I
I'm saying is as if I'm confused at what he's saying.
No, I'm saying we can practice. You're right. We have a separation of quote unquote church and state, but we can only practice our religion to a certain extent unless it violates the secular laws.
I just explained this, chat, or is this guy just not listening to me? I think at this point you're just not listening to me. I literally just explained this. Yes, you can practice your religion to an extent if it interferes with the law. But the First Amendment, yes, it doesn't let someone break.
That's not separation of church and state.
Yes, it is. It does not let someone break generally applicable laws. You can't override the government's valid interest in public safety because of your religion. But your beliefs are protected very strongly. Your actions can be limited when they conflict with neutral laws. That's why the courts have allowed restrictions in cases involving things like child welfare. We've seen this, right? Did you see that case recently where they got pulled over and they were like, the guy was like married to children and stuff, and he was indicted for it? It's because it interfered with neutral laws. That doesn't eliminate the separation of church and state. As I stated previously, you're confusing religious freedom with government endorsement of religion. The Constitution protects your faith, but it doesn't force the state to legalize every religious practice. Otherwise, people would be dating kids. Right?
Okay,
people
what about
use religion to marry children, which they do, by the way, and they get arrested for it. So that's not the same thing. Now, would you like to go to the next tenant?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So we're not going to argue is labor power suppressed, because labor power is suppressed. Okay. This is, I mean, in my opinion, is corporate power protected? It's all about money and business, right? I'm going to concede there. Do you think there's a disdain for intellectuals in the arts? Do you think, because typically fascists frown upon higher education, do you think Donald Trump has attacked higher education?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let's move to the next one. Crime and punishment. Obsessed with crime and punishment. Do you think Donald Trump is obsessed with crime and punishment? This one's, again, pretty self-explanatory. Donald Trump is clearly obsessed with crime and punishment. He wants people to go to life. He wants people to get the death penalty for the sale of narcotics. He wants increased punishment. He's openly advocated for reinstating the death penalty for crimes that it's been removed and things like that. So that's obviously applicable there. Rampant corruption. I don't think we should dispute this one either. Obviously, all fascist leaders tend to put their buddies in positions of power. Donald Trump's acting attorney general is his personal attorney, Todd Blanche, who was Donald Trump's personal attorney in his criminal case and defended him on all 4 indictments, including the one he was criminally convicted. Right? Todd Blanche. He's the acting attorney general of the Department of Justice. That acting attorney general of the Department of Justice is actively obstructing justice and interfering with a law passed by Congress called the Epstein Transparency Act to provide the public with the details of Jeffrey Epstein. That's about as corrupt as it gets, correct?
Sure.
So, concession?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, we're almost there, honey. We're almost there. Fraudulent elections. In fascist governments, elections are very dishonest, okay? whether it's fixing elections or claiming elections were fixed. Whether it's illegal voting or claiming there was illegal voting. Donald Trump obviously tried to overthrow the government. He was criminally indicted. Federal indictment number 2, criminal indictment number 3, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Donald Trump and the fake elector scheme tried to overthrow the government and our democratic process by claiming an election was stolen from him. Concede?
And that's tenet, what, 9?
Nope, that's 14. We're done.
So
Donald Trump is a fascist. You just went through all 14 and conceded.
But some of those things, I don't think that I mean, if some of those things are considered fascist, then
it's not
really.
It's not that one by itself is fascist. It's that when you take all 14 of them, it's a good way to measure whether or not someone is fascist, because those are the characteristics we've seen historically in fascist regimes. But
you know why I think that Trump even needs.
Can I just say one more thing to you before you continue? I want you to understand something, and I want you to truly sit back and think about this. Okay? Fascism doesn't look like fascism when it comes draped in an American flag for a lot of people. Yeah. Your patriotism, right? Your love for your country. It almost seems like that can't happen here. That same thing happened
fascism
in Germany.
Arise.
Do you know how many people felt like that in Germany? That this was for the motherland? That this country had been abused and used and taken advantage of? And that this was necessary to get our country back? Guys, there's someone in the chat.
I get what you're saying,
guys, there's someone in the chat crying about the super chats. So if you'd like to super chat me, I would appreciate it on behalf of Daniel Price. He's been in here multiple times. He constantly cries about super chats. It literally ruins his whole night. So if you'd like to support me, do it on behalf of Daniel Price. You can do it on Venmo to Daniel, or you can, Lee's, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. W. Lee's in the chat, 7680. Lee's, you're the shit. Thank you so much for the support, Lee's. Go ahead.
But it seems like fascism arises when the people believe that Democrats or progressives aren't taking the safety or national security into account of the people. Like when like, for example, if people think crime is going out of control in certain neighborhoods and they feel that the Democrats ain't doing anything about it, or immigration, and they feel like the Democrats ain't doing nothing about it, people are going to elect a more harsher fascist kind of leader, who they believe that will, because it seems like in the form of national security, that the Republicans, they're obsessed with more security and bringing down crime and stuff like that. So if the people, like it's happening in the UK right now with the with all the protests,
Republicans
when they were letting all these.
Yeah, so let's what are you talking about? No, you're talking about in Ireland.
No, I'm saying Ireland and UK. You're going to get more nationalist people. Like when they see swaths of immigrants coming into their country, it's just going to naturally nationalize the people there. They're going to become more fascist, they're going to become more nationalist.
No, that's called racism, which is a tenet of fascism.
No, it's happening in Japan.
Racism
in Japan.
Excuse me. Racial hierarchy, right? Racism is a part of fascism, right? Hence, like, let's talk about under Adolf Hitler. What was a core tenet of that regime? Anti-Semitism. Okay? So, like, I want you to replace undocumented immigrants with Jewish people and speak the same way about Jewish people, because that's what they were saying about Jewish people in the 1930s in Germany, which allowed for Adolf Hitler to not only get elected, but to consolidate power, to pass the Enabling Act of 1933 and turn into one of the worst dictator, if not the worst dictator we've ever seen in the history of the world. So, yes, preying on things like that, leaders, fascists preying on things like that and blaming a particular population of people goes back to one specific tenet. Identification of enemies. Excuse me. You are literally describing a tenet of fascism that we went over. Identification of enemies as a unifying cause. Blaming a particular... blaming a particular population of people for all the country's troubles. When you're sitting at home and there's an affordability crisis, and by the way, there's an affordability crisis right now. People can't eat right now. People can't pay their bills right now. Do you think that's the fault of undocumented immigrants? No, it's the fault of the decision of the president to invade another country. Eventually, you run out of excuses, so you have to continue to blame a population of people for all the country's problems. And it will continue. Believe me, you could deport every single undocumented immigrant, and then he will turn around and he'll start blaming black people and Jewish people. This is what happens, right? This is what they do. Now, just replace the word undocumented with Jewish. Why did Keir Starmer step down?
Yeah, but why did Keir Starmer step down?
I don't know. Why?
Because of political pressure. They felt that he wasn't doing nothing about all the grooming gangs and all that stuff like that.
What? Again, if you want to have a legitimate conversation, we can. I'm trying to explain something to you, and you're not giving me a rebuttal. Why specifically do you believe undocumented immigrants are the reason this country has suffered? You brought up national security. So hold on. You brought up national security. So let's talk about national security, because I'm going to debunk all the... I didn't want to have to go here, guys, because I just like to explain it to him and hope he would just understand. But this guy actually believes, I can tell, that undocumented immigrants are the reason this country is suffering. So let's go through it, right?
No, that's not what I said.
Yeah, you did, because you said the more that people see undocumented immigrants pouring into the country, the more they become radicalized. So obviously, we're now going to have to substantiate that undocumented immigrants are doing what specifically? Give me the negative of undocumented immigrants in the United States. And by the way, Betty, thank you so much, Betty. Appreciate you so much, Betty. He's starting to get a little whiny now, which means the crash out is probably in.
No, I'm not crashing out. I'm not crashing out. Mass immigration is just wildly unpopular. No country wants it.
But do you understand that it's largely based on misinformation? Undocumented immigrants are actually a net positive and have significantly reduced the deficit by trillions of dollars. They contribute significantly to the workforce and per capita commit very low portions of crime compared to American-born citizens. Did you know that?
So you said they contribute billions of dollars to the economy.
Yes.
Right?
And
what's
taxes.
the net negative of them?
There is no net negative. They're a net positive. They
so why do we bring in everybody?
Because obviously if you brought in everybody, that's a different story. We're not talking about bringing in everybody. What population of people do you think we're talking about? How many millions of people?
Why can't we bring in everybody from Venezuela? Why not bring every single person? They're a net benefit.
Because we're not talking about bringing in everybody. We're talking about the people who are currently in this country. You're talking about, I think we should have an easier immigration process. Yes, no one's saying there shouldn't be checks and balances, but I'm just saying undocumented immigrants aren't the result of crime. They aren't the result of an affordability crisis. They're not the cause of an affordability crisis. They're not the cause of crime. They're not the cause of these things that make you become radicalized to vote for someone like Donald Trump. What specifically are undocumented immigrants doing that you think is bad for the country?
Well, when they come in, a lot of them come in, they get picked. Like there was a guy on YouTube. I forgot his name. Black guy. Well, he lives in Los Angeles, California.
A black guy on YouTube.
His name is Jesse Peterson or something like that.
Daniel, you voted for Donald Trump, who's the biggest Zionist pro-Israeli president we've ever had. Shut the fuck up. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was bringing a group, because he was helping black men find jobs. He brought a group of them to different job agencies to get jobs, and they were picking illegal migrants over the black citizens.
Bullshit. So first of all, we're not going to use a YouTube channel as proof. Okay, that we're not going to do. I don't know if you've pulled that bullshit. So excuse me. I don't know if you've pulled that nonsense somewhere else. YouTube channel is not proof. What we know is undocumented immigrants work in specific sectors overall. They work in agriculture, they work in food service, and they work in construction. Okay? That is the sectors undocumented immigrants work in. What we know about these specific sectors are what? that they are extremely labor intensive and they are extremely low paying. American citizens typically don't want to work these positions. In fact, studies have found that American citizens would not fill these positions if we just removed every undocumented person currently working these positions, and we would experience a labor shortage in these specific sectors, and have. So that's number one, okay? Undocumented immigrants work in sectors that American citizens typically don't want. So unless you're going to specify with an actual study, then I don't want to hear it.
How did these studies figure out that American citizens don't want to do these jobs? How did these people who went out to these, did the people go out to these businesses and they walked around the building?
Correct. They poll people who are interested in applying for these jobs. There's different ways they're conducted. Have you never read a study before?
Did they poll men? Did they poll?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but I'm
Did
saying,
they poll men? Of course. This is such a dumb response. Again, now you're asking me how studies are conducted. Again, unless you can provide evidence that American citizens are trying to get hired at jobs and they can't get them because undocumented immigrants are taking them, then we're going to move on, because that's not true. Undocumented immigrants work in sectors that American citizens typically don't want.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that it makes it harder for Americans to negotiate for higher wages. If you bring in a bunch of undocumented, yes, it does. Like, if you bring in a bunch of undocumented, how is it the opposite? If you bring in a bunch of undocumented workers and you got unions because unions were against illegal immigration, they were against mass immigration because they felt that it was harder to negotiate for higher wages.
It's not true. So this is something that's constantly perpetuated by people. But do you understand that Republicans are the party that oppose raising the minimum wage? Did you know that?
Yeah, of course.
So undocumented immigrants create demand and they fill labor shortages. Those are the two most important ways, right?
And they bring down wages.
No, they do not. When businesses grow, what do? They buy more supplies, they hire more support staff, they create more local spending. That raises wages in related jobs. You can look this up. Economists have already, there's a million studies on this, on the wage effect. Not saying there isn't somewhat of a mixed result there, but it depends on the skill level. It depends on the industry. It depends on the location, rather than just more immigration equals lower wages, which is the claim you're trying to make. It's not a magic wage cut button. In many cases, they fill these labor gaps. If a business has increased output, do they raise wages or cut wages? If there's more demand, do they raise wages or cut wages? Right. And even if it does, right? What?
You said there's more demand for labor?
Yeah, it would offset.
So if they have more demand to pick from, you don't think they're going to try and lower wages or pay less?
What I'm saying is the effect on wages is usually small, and it depends on where you are specifically. But it depends on the skill set, okay, and things like that. Not necessarily whether or not someone is documented or not. The undocumented immigrants typically have a positive effect on wages, not a negative effect.
But the American people won't take them because they're so low paying. So you want undocumented people to have low wages?
No, I would like to raise the minimum wage in this country, which would increase wages for everyone. Who's the party that opposes raising the minimum wage? Democrats or Republicans?
Republicans, most definitely.
There you go. Republicans are, what is the federal minimum wage in this country?
Is it like 10.50 or something like that?
Nope. Keep trying.
7.20.
Keep going.
Is that right? Or is $7.20 or?
Yeah, $7.25. That's the federal minimum wage. So unless a state has their own minimum wage, that is what you would be paid. Republicans don't want to raise that. They say raising the minimum wage hurts small businesses, causes job loss, right? GOP lawmakers repeatedly blocked Democrat-backed legislation that would raise the federal minimum wage. And they've passed laws that prevent cities from raising wages locally even. Right? Trump is not a champion of higher wages. He's been opposed to it pretty consistently. So if you are in favor of raising wages, then you should be a Democrat. Republicans are the ones that like low wages, slave labor wages.
So if they raise, because from what I've heard is that when they raise the minimum wage, they're going to just pick more skilled kind of people. They're not going to pick like young kids who need jobs or entry level jobs. They're not going to pick people who are trying to get their foot in the door. They're going to pick more experienced people if you raise wages. That was what I heard.
That if they raise wages, they're going to want what?
They're going to want either more skilled or more experienced people. They're not going to pick high school kids who are looking for jobs. They're not going to pick, teenagers or whatever if they want jobs. Because no job is going to want to pay them $15, $20 an hour.
I think higher wages would keep people, like it decreases the turnover rate. It keeps better workers, right? So that's good for businesses. I don't think it's necessarily about employers hiring skilled workers. I think the result would just be a more stable workforce. I don't know anything about hiring skilled workers if it's the minimum wage.
Like 18, like a 17-year, nobody's going to pay. Like, for example, McDonald's or something, or the flip fries, or to sweep the floor.
So more qualified people are in the labor pool, is what you're arguing.
No, I feel like it's going to create a higher demand for more qualified people, because if you got like somebody who just sweeps floors or something, employers are not going to pay $20 an hour for that.
Mm-hmm.
Or to say, hey, hi, welcome to Target or welcome to McDonald's. They're not going to pay that high wage like that. So they're going to cut a lot of those jobs.
What do you cut? So they're going to cut some of them jobs. Well, honestly, AI is going to be the issue you need to worry about in terms of cutting jobs.
Yeah, or they're going to automate. That's one of the reasons why they automate.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's something you should worry about far more than raising the minimum wage. But we're only talking about raising the minimum wage to a livable wage. So I believe the effect on eliminating non-skilled workers would be minimum. In this case, we're talking about a federal minimum wage that's $7.25. People, you starve on those wages. So raising the minimum wage to $15 or $20 is not going to suddenly fill the McDonald's pool with a bunch of skilled workers. That's just I'm just talking about using it to keep up with, inflation in the economy.
But how come you can be an intern legally, but it's illegal to pay?
Listen, we're getting off topic. I don't want to. We're going down weird paths here. What was the original reason?
I'm gonna let you move on.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Listen, you. Here's all I'm gonna say about you. Okay. You fall for a lot of misinformation on the internet. You listen to a lot of shit that you're told on like Twitter and shit. I would love to have an in-depth conversation with you about why you think undocumented immigrants are a net negative, which you tried to establish and they're not, and it's probably an hour-long debate. Undocumented immigrants, I encourage you, excuse me, you don't even have to debate me on this. I want you to go look this up.
I was just clearing my throat.
I want you to go look this up when we get off the phone. Are undocumented immigrants a net positive or a net negative? Is Antifa a criminal organization? And does Donald Trump meet all 14 tenets of fascism? And tell me what your research concludes. Okay?
Okay.
Now, hold on. I got to put you on with my secretary real quick. She has to take a quick survey, okay? About how the call was. All right?
Hey.
All right.
All right. All right.
Hello?
Oh, boy.
Hello?
Yo.
Hi, honey.
Hello?
How'd you enjoy your call today?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Okay.
I learned a lot of stuff.
You learned a lot. Are you single?
I'm sorry?
Are you single?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Sorry, I'm a bit of a flirt. Hello?
Hello?
I'm a bit of a flirt.
Huh. Okay.
Shit, dude. He was getting nervous, bro. Oh fuck. Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Appreciate that, Nancy. Appreciate that, Nancy. Thank you so much, Nancy. Did I miss any donations? I want to make sure I get them all to anyone that donated here. Laura Shock with the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Says, I think Governor Mikey Sherrill needs to grow up here and demand a health inspection. She needs to kick the damn door in. Agree with you 100%, Laura. And it is complete and utter bullshit. That, look, here's the thing when it comes to Governor Sherrill. The health commissioner, in this case, his name is I believe it's Washington or something. I don't remember the name. But the health commissioner in New Jersey, okay, has the authority under the statute to enter the facility. By statute, the DOH commissioner can enter any public or private detention center and have full access to any premises if there is any reason whatsoever to believe that there's a public health violation. So there is no reason that they shouldn't show up with 100 SWAT and kick the fucking door in. And that's what I would do. And we need politicians with courage. And I say this, the politicians unwilling to do their job, step down and get out of the way and let someone actually do the work that needs to be done. And this is specific to Governor Mikey Sherrill and even Mayor Ross Baraka in Newark, New Jersey. Get out of the frickin' way. Do your job or get out of the damn way.
Call from
Joe.
Joe, how are you?
Hey, good. How's it going?
I'm good. What's up?
Well, I would just like to join the conversation, talk to you about what you're discussing.
Delaney Hall, go ahead.
And do I have the floor, or are you going to ask me a question you'd like to ask?
Nothing. Well, what are your thoughts about it? You think they're concentration camps or no?
Concentration. Do I think were concentration camps?
One thing I don't think it is funny, but go ahead.
Oh, well, obviously it's not, but I'm asking you, is your question to me, are you asking me if there were concentration camps? Yes, of course.
Yeah, do you think these are concentration camps? And if not, what is your definition of a concentration camp?
Well, concentration camps are similar to what the Germans did to Jewish people or other people who didn't agree with their government. And also
sure, that's a historical
Americans
reference, but what's the definition of a concentration camp?
Well, it's concentrated with a bunch of people that have one mindset the other have opposition to.
One mindset?
Well, if you tell me what a concentration camp is.
Sure, that's a better question. So let's say it's a camp that commits human rights violations against the hostages inside, typically holds political prisoners, people like that, people considered less than human by the state. There's usually a mechanism to, increase the likelihood that they die, but that mechanism is different depending on, where you are and so on. But in this case, there's human rights. It also involves slave labor, right? Working to maintain, and that's what's happening at Delaney Hall. So in Delaney Hall, they're working for $1 a day, and they're being tortured. So I think that constitutes a concentration camp, correct?
Yes. Now, Delaney Hall is I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with Delaney Hall. What is that? Is that a jail?
Delaney Hall is a detention center, a concentration camp in Newark, New Jersey. It's by Port Newark off Doremus Avenue.
Who do they usually house? What is the?
Well, they've had a history of housing different populations of people. At one time, it was actually prisoners in the United States here, but there were tons of accusations about human rights violations then too. But now it is undocumented people, but also documented people get housed there. American citizens, friends of mine, have been arrested and brought in there.
Well, I'm not familiar with that place. Is there evidence of it still being pretty active? I mean,
yeah, I was just there. I just reported on it for 3 weeks.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of new to you.
I've been reporting on it for 3 weeks. So essentially what's happening is they are refusing to allow any kind of health inspection in the facility currently. So the Department of Health has, through the governor, has repeatedly requested to be able to inspect that facility, and they have refused them entry, which is under the current statute against the law. They're refusing them entry. They won't allow them to inspect it because obviously they're doing the things we accuse them of. People have died there. Literally died. We have had people die there. Women have had miscarriages without medical care. Like, I'll give you an instance, right? Congressman Kim. So first of all, there was a hunger strike there.
Well, wait. Let me. I was gonna. One more thing.
Let me just give you the baseline.
You mentioned concentration camps. I was going to mention the Japanese in California, not to do with anything, because California at that time was nowhere near democratic, obviously.
No, I agree 100%.
But yeah, something like that, right? So
yeah, well, it's still, again, those were political prisoners. Those were people arrested because they were Japanese. But at this time, we're I'm talking about something different here. So let's just focus specifically on what's happening here, because that was a little bit different, although wrong and should be condemned. Our country does have a history of doing this, so that's kind of relevant in that sense. But anyway, at Delaney Hall here, there was an individual. His name's Martin Soto, okay? And there was maggots in their food every day. And so Martin decided, I'm done eating maggots, and basically put together a hunger strike. And a group of individuals inside the facility went on a hunger strike, and that grew and grew until a bunch of them were on a hunger strike. And then we went outside, and I started reporting on it, and people started protesting in support of it. And then ICE showed up and started beating the shit out of the protesters, and Geo Group started coming outside and beating the shit out of the protesters. All these videos are on my channel. You can see. Sherry, thank you for becoming a Muppet Masher. Sherry, appreciate you, Sherry. W. Sherry. And so what they did was they started transferring the people that were on the hunger strike out of the facility, trying to break up the hunger strike. In that process, multiple members of Congress, government officials, the governor themselves, Tom Homan, have all showed up to inspect the facility. Almost everyone who went inside said the conditions were egregious.
Okay, well,
not only that, but the prison will not allow elected officials to speak to the hostages. So when Senator Kim went inside, what I was trying to explain to you before is some of the women kind of like were signaling to him, like, look around the corner, look around the corner. And there was a woman in the fetal position on a bed in like agonizing pain. And when he asked, like, why isn't she getting medical care? They said, mind your own business. They're torturing these people. Like, I've spoken personally to people who have left the facility. There were 3 guys that left the facility. All 3 of them were in tears when they left. They looked like they saw a fucking ghost. They could barely speak. These are human beings.
If they were in that facility and they did a hunger strike, usually when you're in a hunger strike in normal close quarters or you're in jail, you're going to be fed through a tube or something. They're obviously not going to let you die. So you're saying that
they force-fed them through the nose or whatever they did, yeah.
Oh, they did. Yes. Okay, And
then they transferred some of them out. They broke up the hunger strike. Now there's about 10 or 12 women who have started a new hunger strike, and so this weekend is probably going to consist of some protests at Delaney Hall again.
But where does this conversation, and I know it might be kind of construed because maybe you saw some of my comments before, I kind of not so much.
I have no idea who you are. I don't really read the comments.
I know. But do we have an ultimate goal here to decide if I'm Republican, Democrat, or?
Well, who'd you vote for?
Well, I've always voted for, in the presidential elections, somebody that's never going to win, and that's the Gold Party, and that's a Libertarian. But
so
I will
why would you vote for a
one.
liberal? Who was the libertarian in this last election? I don't even remember. I do know the name. I forget now. It was a woman, wasn't it?
It was Johnson. So it was during Obama, it's like Johnson, and then there was Gary Johnson.
Joe Jorgensen, right? No,
Joe Jorgensen.
Yeah.
But the most recent one, I can't tell you. Do you want to know why? Because I broke my rule and I voted for Trump.
You voted for Trump. Okay, so you voted for Trump in this last election.
I broke my rule, dude. I broke my rule.
Why would you break your rule to vote for a 4-time indicted, convicted felon, civilly liable, rapist, insurrectionist, scumbag? I don't get that.
Well, I have a few ideas that are different from yours about maybe the insurrection situation, but I will give it to you that I agree 100% about how it's compromised by Israel, and I think Israel intelligence and things like that, and also...
Wait, say that again?
Compromised by Israel intelligence.
Trump is.
All right, well, I would say to a certain extent he has a big
He's
influence.
Admittedly the most pro-Israeli president. They've called him the first
that's
Jewish
why he's
president.
Compromised.
Yeah, but
he's compromised.
Are you saying compromised as a negative, or are you saying it as, because people say compromise to pass the buck? He's responsible in that decision because it's a financial one, largely. I don't believe
financial, but also they got him with the Epstein files.
Oh, bullshit.
They got him.
No, you know who has him on the Epstein? Nope. I think the American people do. I don't think it's Israel in particular that has him. The Department of Justice.
Everybody. Everybody that's a good person has him.
The Department of Justice. Right? The Department of Justice is actively obstructing justice, refusing to release those files to the American public. Right?
Yes.
So that's what that's about. I think he wanted to use it as a distraction. I don't think the Israel has necessarily held anything over his head. And the reason I don't like that narrative, I'm going to explain it to you why I don't favor that narrative. I'm just going to explain to you why I don't favor it. It's not impossible, but I'm going to explain to you why. Because Donald Trump was, number one, pro-Israel prior to this previous administration. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is very close with Netanyahu and Netanyahu's family. When Netanyahu would come to the U.S., he'd stay with the Kushners. There's very close ties to Bibi there. And he's been friends with Bibi for some time. But I think more importantly, what it does is it kind of allows Donald Trump to escape responsibility in a sense in regards to things like the war in Iran. I think that was a conscious decision by Donald Trump, whether or not he was manipulated into believing because he had a lack of understanding about Iran's multi-layered government and their the IRGC and how that system is structured in terms of the Mosaic Doctrine or not. I think that Donald Trump made a conscious decision to say, let's go to war with Iran. And I think people say this stuff about Israel as if Donald Trump is a helpless victim. And I don't like that, right? So I don't know which way you're going with it, but if it's that Donald Trump had good intentions and then Israel said, hey, buddy, get over here and change that, I don't buy that.
So how do you think how do you think that Obama would handle something like that? If
he did handle it, it was called the JCPOA. And Donald Trump tore it up and then opted for military action called Operation Midnight Hammer and bombed their facilities in Esfahan, Natanz, and Fordow. Right, and then claimed that operation was a success and they could never possess nuclear weapons, and then opted for another military operation where that was its primary objective again, and then claimed that they were about to use weapons in the middle of negotiations.
Okay, so how was that an objective or something that would benefit the Republican Party exclusively? Like if Donald Trump is Donald Trump's actions, basically, what you said is that bombing certain things.
Yeah, no, so I think it's multi-layered. I don't think there's one specific reason, but I can tell you that what I think is that it benefits Israel, and I think that in Donald Trump's case, it benefited him personally in changing the conversation here in the United States about the Epstein files and Donald Trump's Department of Justice currently breaking the law. Remember, Pam Bondi was testifying and all that was going down. I think it changed it from that conversation to a conversation about the war. But I think Donald Trump was sold on the fact that you could be the president that brings peace between Iran and Israel by killing the supreme leader and toppling the regime. You would be the president remembered for bringing peace to the Middle East. But I don't think that he was fully I don't think he was briefed or informed correctly on how Iran's government structure prevents decapitation strikes as being the solution to toppling that government. Because the government in Iran is structured in a very particular way, designed to survive decapitation strikes commonly used by the United States and Israel. They're aware of the fact that at some point the United States would probably kill the supreme leader. Wouldn't it be idiotic to not have contingencies in place? They structured their government understanding at some point the United States was going to swoop in here with a fighter jet or a B-2 bomber or whatever and kill the supreme leader, right? They knew that. So they had a process set up that essentially allows for the survival of this regime for an extended period of time, regardless of how many people die. It's the same way the IRGC is structured, broken up into 31 different autonomous groups over 31 different provinces without any direct leadership structure and can operate independently without any communication with the supreme leader. That is deliberate because they don't have the military assets to compete with the United States and Israel.
Let me ask you a question. With his mentality and what he does, do you think in what you just said, it sounds kind of like he thought he could do this and it didn't work out for him?
Yes.
But do you think that he has not some intelligent mastermind, but just are you saying in a little bit that he has some idea of how he needs to play his part as president and he's not
No, I think
absolutely absurd. I mean,
I think that he is stupid, dude. If you really want me to be completely honest with you, I think he's under intelligent. I don't think he's a complete idiot, but I think he's largely incompetent. I think that Donald Trump believes that Donald Trump knows everything, and I think that Donald Trump was more willing to listen to Bibi Netanyahu than he was his own intelligence agencies that tried to explain to him that the retaliatory consequences of choking the Strait of Hormuz are going to be far more detrimental than he believes, and that killing the supreme leader will not result. Because the strategy was obvious. Anybody who knows anything will tell you the strategy was to kill the supreme leader and then encourage the population to uprise against the regime. That's what they wanted to happen because those protests were actively going on. They were preying on the idea that these people would start uprising against the government. They wouldn't have to put boots on the ground. They could participate with airstrikes, and ultimately they would be able to grab on to control. And it just didn't work out that way because that's not how they're structured. They're structured to prevent those things from happening.
Well, how about Obama with Gaddafi and what panned out there in another Middle Eastern country?
Yeah, I don't agree with anything that went down there, but that's not relevant to what we're talking about here.
No, okay, I'm just kind of a question there. But can I ask you one more question?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys probably get to the next one. I asked that I was waiting for the next person to be done or the person before me.
That's fine. I'm wrapping up soon anyway. What's up?
In the mindset of our previous presidents and the current, Obama, Joe, Bush, Trump, do you feel any of them has made any impact that you would significantly want to tell me now or tell the public what you agree with?
What do I think? What? What's the question?
Sorry, with the past presidents,
do I think what?
In any situation in war, is there any
I think the United States has an incredibly problematic foreign policy. I think the United States believes that
foreign policy. Do you not think that any past president, even Trump, has done anything?
I think that
no.
I'm largely opposed to U.S. foreign policy across the board, but I've
Do you think Middle Eastern countries and
I've really never seen someone do something quite as stupid as the war in Iran. That's about as dumb as
I agree with you about
the war in Iraq is about as stupid. This may have even been more stupid because he understood the war in Iraq. Like, the war in Iraq had already happened. So there was a good understanding there that, hey, we don't want to get sucked into another $1 trillion multi-year war in the Middle East. And he did it anyway. This is a result of two things: Donald Trump's massive ego and his incompetence. And it's a dangerous combination. Look, your own intelligence agencies were telling you they're not an imminent threat. His arrogance, trying to sell to the American public that they're an imminent threat, when his own Secretary of State is coming out and saying, well, actually, they're not an imminent threat. Israel was planning to attack Iran, and then we launched strikes to prevent these preemptive strikes against U.S. military bases. That's all happening publicly. That's being aired out publicly. These are things that should be happening behind the scenes. But it just goes to show you how disorganized this administration is. Not just Trump, the entire cabinet is underqualified, disorganized, incompetent, and then egomaniac is at the helm. And that's a recipe for fucking disaster. I mean, if you're asking me about U.S. foreign policy in particular, I can tell you things Obama did that were better than Trump. I mean, just in regards to Iran, the JCPOA is better than Trump's current memorandum of understanding, which is largely just a pause to negotiate some of these broader issues down the line. I mean, the primary objective of the war was to make sure they never possess nuclear weapons, and that's not even part of the agreement. But I digress. The point is that Obama was far more competent in his approach to foreign policy. Not that I agree with his decisions. He was far more competent as a leader. Donald Trump is incompetent. I don't believe Donald Trump is very bright. I think he's average to below average intelligence. I think he thinks he's smarter than he really is. I don't think he takes the advice of people around him, which is a major negative for a leader in that kind of position with that kind of authority. And I think that Israel just largely has too much power over the United States, just generally speaking, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Well, I agree with you, man. Well, I will find some other points to argue with you about, and I'll call on another time.
All right, take care.
You too.
So this is the plan for this weekend, folks. I really didn't want to do this because I'm fucking tired and I've spent so much time there. My back fucking hurts. But I'm going to go back down to Delaney Hall because there's a lot of fucking work to be done there, and I'm going to try and bring you coverage through the weekend. We're going to debate tomorrow. We're going to stream tomorrow. We're going to have a stream in the morning on TikTok. I will tell you guys, I think I've decided that I'm going to start blending these streams on TikTok and YouTube in the evening, and I'm going to start potentially trying to have a live that's blended the two. A lot of people have been asking me to do this for a long time, thinking that it would be successful and draw more attention to the streams, and I've always thought separating them would be better, but fuck it. I think I'm going to bring them together. So you guys are actually going to get that kind of a thing to happen here soon. At least a couple times a week, it's going to be blended into TikTok too. So, but I appreciate you guys. If you're here, say yo in the chat. Say what's up in the chat if you're still awake. I know it's getting late. This person says, if Israel had bombed Iran, then Iran bombed the United States facilities in the area, would have been enacted Article 5 of NATO, then Iran would have been fucked. What do you mean? Who's a part of NATO? NATO was not going to... NATO was not, Israel's not a member of NATO. So, if Israel bombed Iran and then Iran retaliated because the United States was a part of those attacks, I don't think you would get a response from NATO. Just like you didn't get a response from NATO for the attacks in response to the initial strikes, right? But I appreciate you guys. Love you. Thank you so much for supporting. If you guys do want to support, you can on Venmo. My Venmo is Adam Cray Politics. If you do support not just the work I do online, but the work I do offline, I would appreciate the support because I have spent a shit ton of money doing this. I still think it's worth it, but I do need help now. So if you do want to support, I would appreciate it. I will give you guys very in-depth coverage this weekend. There is a fundraiser I'm going to be participating, I believe, a fundraiser or a get-together or a union something, I don't know, this weekend or something. But there is things to participate in. Wow, my vision just got blurry. What the fuck? That was weird. I gotta drink some water or something. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate you guys. Love you. Make sure you check your membership. Make sure you're still a member of the channel, all that. And we will be live tomorrow. And I don't know if I'm leaving tomorrow or Friday. Probably Friday morning. I'll head back down there or something. But I love you guys. Yes, I will be on TikTok in the morning. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful night. I really thank you, everybody, for supporting, though. I really appreciate you. I wouldn't be able to do it without you, ultimately. So I really appreciate you guys. I want you guys to know that the work that I do isn't just me. It's this you guys behind me that allows me to do it. And that's a major reason why I was telling people that at Delaney Hall. Like, I wouldn't fully be able to do this if people weren't supporting me. So I appreciate you guys. And we'll continue fighting because we are making a difference. I mean, you see how that stuff gets channeled in and all, you know. And before you know it, Lawrence O'Donnell is talking about something I said at Delaney Hall. So the work, people are listening, and it does work. It's just a lot of work, but it does work. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.